The year was 2020. Two web surfing hooligans had met and discovered their mutual love for the strangeness of reality. They shared their bold discoveries of the bizarre and delighted in it. Their delight soon turned into animosity, as they each desired to be the greater curator of the curious. Thus the War of the Weirds had begun. A war between friends, where the stranger the discovery, the greater chance of victory. One can only hope this horrific war may come to an end one day. But for now, I present to you the first battle on record. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic versus Count Carl von Cosel.
Hello and welcome to War of the Weirds. I'm Broomy, and I'm here with my buddy Mystic. Hello.
Hello.
And we met on the internet. It's a place, and
real safe place to meet people.
And yeah, I enjoy it. But we met there, and we kind of have this mutual love of strange stuff. We just started, we each talked about weird, bizarre occurrences, things, ideas, and I also, like, there needs to be more war in the world.
Right. Yeah, if 2019 and 20 has taught us anything.
Yeah. Let's rev it up, baby.
Let's just, crank it up to 11.
This is a war of friendship, and everybody jump on the board this friendship.
Yeah.
One thing that qualifies me is that I am strange because I chose to pretend to be a broom for over a year.
Wait, pretend?
And turns out.
This is how you bring it to me. Okay.
And I wrote 14 full songs from the perspective of a broom. Mystic, you have circus skills?
I am my handle is Mystic Monkey. You can call me Mystic or Monkey or whatever. But I do lots of stuff up in the air, upside down.
Yeah. And you drink a lot of milk, I've noticed.
About a gallon a week. Yeah.
Whew.
And it doesn't even matter like what kind, like whole, skim, almond, oat, like what? Just milk. I just love milk. I haven't done breast milk since like I was like like a baby, but
feels odd to mention it.
I'm not ruling it out, but I'm just saying that's in my repertoire of milks that I have tasted. Yeah. So,
yeah. I don't know if it was formula or not. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different, I went on formula at one point, so.
What?
I did formula at some point. Breast milk to formula. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Everybody's got a formula at some point.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm drinking formula these days, but I think we should get into it.
All right.
I have the premise, of course, is I have a thing that I'm going to say is weird, and I'm going to present it to Mystic, and we're going to talk about it. He's going to have a thing that he's going to present as what's going on, or what's strange that he's discovered, and we're going to leave it to you folks at home to vote on which one was the more weird, interesting thingy-majig.
Yeah, and those that voting, the polls will be on Twitter. Is that correct? Am I speaking correctly there?
I do believe so.
Okay.
I don't know. You didn't. Not that it's on you, but did you set up the Twitter yet?
It is being done almost as we speak.
Okay.
I'm just verifying.
So by the end of the episode, we'll have a handle for you. Stay tuned for that handle.
Yeah. We don't want them to go and read the poll now and like get a preview of the story.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That would be a no-no.
Right.
But here we go. So, Tanzania, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an African country.
Right.
Used to be called Tanganyika.
Okay.
For a while there.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1962. Tanganyika. And
is there an apostrophe in the middle of that?
No,
You're
I'm
like
just
taking
being,
a breath in the
just
Ika?
being stupid.
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to visualize the word. I want to.
It's tang.
Uh-huh.
It's a kick in the glass.
Uh-huh.
And then an.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yika.
Okay. I mean,
Tanganyika.
Gotcha.
But 1962, Tanganyika, it's a mission-run boarding school for girls.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like middle school to high school, that whole range, right?
Right.
Teacher's teaching a class. Nothing seems to be different, and one of his students starts laughing.
Okay.
And he's like, "What are you laughing about?" And then, she keeps laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple other students that are in that classroom start laughing.
Okay.
Minutes pass. Pretty much the whole classroom is laughing.
So just unexpectedly. Just one student
Just
starts laughing.
out of nowhere.
Okay.
And not only that, but at some point during that time, a student must have passed by in the halls, heard it, and she started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And she got into her classroom, and that whole classroom started laughing.
Okay.
So
some good old infectious laughter.
Yeah. You see, the thing about this infectious laughter, though, is on the low end, the infectious laughter lasted a few hours.
Okay. Did they? Okay. All right. Oh, go ahead.
What do you guys?
Are they? I mean, is anybody disturbed by this? Or they're just like, we're having a good time, like we're laughing, not worried about it.
They're disturbed, concerned.
Okay, so they're like brows are furrowed, panic in their eyes, gripping each other by the shirt fronts, just like laughing in each other's faces, trying to convey fear.
Yeah, right. It's just a sort of like, and it's not only laughter. It's occasionally it would go into crying and then laughter.
I mean, that's my laughter too. So that's
Yeah. And this was a story on Radiolab a while ago, which is a podcast, a science podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I couldn't really find corroboration, but, they're a science podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they say they would get people, like the teacher would try to calm them down, they would get, like, violent.
Whoa.
I'm imagining in like a leave me alone kind of way, not like they're actually like out for blood or something.
Right. Just leave me to my laughter. I'm having a good time. Can't you tell by the way I'm laughing?
Yeah, I love it. Teachers were unaffected.
Oh, okay. So the teachers just think this is like some hoax. This is a senior prank.
Well, I think at a certain point it gets so extreme that it's like, how could it be?
Right.
Also, I think in 1962, I don't think pranks were as big.
Yeah.
I think prank culture really, really upped itself in the new millennium. I think we really did it. But
glad to be a part of that.
Oh yeah. So these kids are still laughing. And, it's like an hour, I don't know how many hours, didn't say, but an hour or so into it, they close the school for the day.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how are we gonna teach people if almost everyone is laughing? Some kids weren't, but most of them were.
You feel like you're out on the joke.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure after the 45 minutes, it was just, to me, I would think it wouldn't have sucked because of that. It would suck because it was like, this is fucking weird. Like, this is kind of disturbing. Why is everybody laughing? This is kind of scary, I would think.
This is, I mean, it could be like a new a new workout regimen. You know, really get those abs engaged and just laugh. This was like, you know, new gym.
Yeah. Do you know
culture.
about laughter yoga?
No. I know about laughter
my
classes.
God. Well, it might be the same thing. I don't know.
What's laughter yoga?
Laughter yoga is basically what you just said. It's you just induce laughter that you don't mean.
Yeah.
And that like makes you happier or something.
I have seen that, and I've also there's a class around here where you all lay on your backs on the ground, but you lay with your head on someone's stomach, and so that you're all head to stomach, and then someone's head's on your stomach, and someone's head's on their stomach, etc. And then you all laugh just like a ha at the same time, and really like move your stomach when you laugh, and it pops their head up, and then you all start doing that, and so your heads are just like bouncing off each other's bellies. Real weird. You should YouTube some footage of that. Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to laugh. Like, it is silly. So you like what starts is like I'm gonna force this laugh, and quickly becomes real laughter because it is all very, very weird.
Yeah. I've listened to the You Made It Weird podcast, which is posted by comedian Pete Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
He used to do this thing where he would say, "Hey, can you want to do this?" And he would say, "Let's fake laugh at each other and raise your hand when it turns into a real laugh," because it always does.
Yeah,
which is interesess
That is interesting.
But these kids ain't faking it,
right?
Brett.
They're not Pete Holmes.
No, famous faker Pete Holmes.
Right.
But so they're going back to their villages, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're laughing. They're
still
crying. They're still laughing.
Tears streaming while I'm laughing. Okay.
And they're going back because it's like the rural area,
right?
And they're going back to their villages, and these symptoms of the laughter and the crying, like I said, on the low end, a few hours. On the high end, 16 days.
Can you even sleep? Or are you just laughing in your sleep?
No way you sleep, man. If you're laughing, you can't sleep.
I mean, do they just die after that? Like, do you just get exhausted?
Giggles.
Right, you're full on like.
Yeah.
That was more of a cackle, not a laugh, but
yeah.
I mean, I can sleep and cry. That's fine. My pillow's tear stained. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine, guys. Don't worry. Don't need to call somebody.
No. Don't worry. I wasn't.
Okay. Don't worry. I don't give a shit about you. It's fine.
I don't give a shit. I don't wash your pillowcases.
Yeah.
But
16 days.
But yeah, 16 days. So the epidemic, the laughter epidemic, which is what this is.
That was the best name they could come up with?
Well, specifically, the Tanganyika laughter epidemic.
Okay.
Spread to another village because these people are going home to their separate villages.
Right.
And in April and May, hold on, let me see if I got the details over here. So it's a small school. It's a rural area.
Right.
So it was 95 out of 159 initially. Students were laughing. So it spread to another village in April and May of that year. That was the previous month that the month that shall not be named apparently by me.
Right.
But in April and May, 217 mostly young villagers had laughing attacks.
Okay.
And it was obviously initially it was all girls. It was an all girls school. But it was girls and boys, and it's mostly young.
Right.
So, and then it spread to a middle school that affected 48 girls there.
Okay.
So, is believed. You're like, why? Right?
Right.
Why would this happen?
Right.
Doesn't really make sense.
Okay.
Well, it's believed that it's a form of mass hysteria.
That's a great one. That's a great one. The brain is so weird.
Or mass psychological illness.
Right.
Yeah, the brain is crazy that
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
manifest this.
Yeah.
But even then, you're like, but what does that exactly mean? Because it's like, okay, I put the label on it. Does that explain it?
They were all in hysterics laughing, and there was a mass of people. That's why.
Yeah. The words and the base definitions check out, but you're like,
Right.
why? But the idea that's put out there that, you know, like everybody's like, we don't know, but this probably maybe is it's believed that it was like a culture shock, because apparently Tanganyika at that time, the previous year or so, they had just gotten independence from European rule.
Right.
And
they need something to like culturally set them apart.
Yeah.
So they're just like, let's just have this mass hysteria. Really
It
put us on
was
the
a
map, you know?
government-ordered hysteria. They had a plant, a 13-year-old girl plant,
right,
to start it, but they knew. No. So they, you know, they got independence, and with new rulers, those new rulers made several drastic changes, which included, according to this Radiolab episode, I don't know, because I couldn't find corroborating information on this. I actually looked hard at this specific area when I should have maybe focused on the rest of the thing to find anything.
This is my priority
corroborated.
right now.
But including the outright banning of the old religion that they were practicing. Which in the Radiolab episode they interviewed a guy about it, and he was like, they banned the spirits. And in favor of more modern religions.
Right.
Kind of like get with the times type of thing.
Right.
Like I said initially, this is a missionary school.
Yeah.
So they're going into this school from their villages that are very traditional people, traditional conservative people.
Right.
Then they're going to this school, which is introducing all sorts of new ideas. It's a completely different governmental system, I believe. I believe it went into socialism from, I don't know, monarchy, whatever.
Yeah.
They were, ruled by Europe.
Yeah.
In some fashion. But the dissonance and sudden change, like, over the past year caused them to have all the feelings of, like, unease and confusion that they needed to release.
Right. And so finally things built up, and this was just like some kind of catharsis for them.
Yeah, but, like, of course they didn't know.
Yeah.
So that's what's the weirdest thing, right?
Yeah, their brain is just like, the brains, like, we know what's good for you. We know what you need. We're gonna get all this out. Like, you don't understand why it's happening, but trust me, it's good. It's necessary.
Yeah.
Did it just eventually stop?
Eventually it stopped. But according to the Radiolab episode, it wasn't the only occurrence of it. It happened several times later. This is the one that's notable in the same area, like in the 90s.
Yeah, because you said the first one was 67, right?
62.
62. Okay.
So, and the way they were interviewing people and the way they were talking about it was, this has happened several times, and
this could happen to us.
Oh yeah, I mean, kind of, because the idea of this is that it's specific to the, like, culture, right.
Right.
So it could happen to us via like personal things in our lives, you could just burst out laughing. I don't know if it would happen like on a mass scale for us.
It's so no, go ahead. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
It's so like I'm thinking a lot of things. All right, first I'm thinking just like this is not obviously not the point of your story, but I'm thinking like why would they ban, if they're breaking free and establishing independence, then why would they ban religions? But I mean, I understand if it was like a mission led, like it was a, like a spiritual.
I don't know because like I said, that was a part that I was like, to me, kind of wasn't adding up as well. And I looked into it and I couldn't find anything. In fact, I found almost the opposite, where freedom of religion was a very strong idea in the independent, new independent state. So
maybe
it might have been just sort of like either very local government or just maybe that's not true and it just felt like it to this person when they go to school and they're like, don't talk about the spirits here, maybe. Maybe the freedom of the religion was to protect I'm assuming it was Christianity that the mission, you said, is like a missionary led. I believe so.
So
it was either Christianity or Islam. I imagine it's Christianity.
So in either case, maybe it was like the freedom of religion ordinances that were going out were to protect those religions and to make them practicable, perhaps. And so it wasn't necessarily like we accept all religions and everybody can do whatever. It was like you have to accept these also. Yeah.
No, that aspect of it is certainly strange. But I think it was a more like, hey, even if it wasn't banning, it was like a, hey, stop. Come on.
Right. It's we live in an age of science now.
But real quick, I also looked into, mass hysteria a little bit. Mm-hmm. So let me drop some facts on you about that.
Okay.
It's so it's defined as the rapid spread of illness signs and symptoms affecting members of a cohesive group, originating from a nervous system disturbance, involving excitation, loss, or alteration of function, whereby physical complaints that are exhibited unconsciously have no corresponding organic etiology. So that explains it.
All my questions are answered right now from that. Thanks. Thanks, science.
No, it's basically, it's like, it's a part of the thing about it is like mass hysteria. People think it's like, it has to be a physical thing.
Yeah.
For mass hysteria, the laughter is mass hysteria because of that.
Right.
But if everybody believes something that's not true, that is not mass hysteria. Apparently,
even though being dumb.
People use it like that all the time.
Right.
So it pretty much is by our language and how we talk to one another.
So mass hysteria is a false mass hysteria, colloquially.
What?
Like the way that people misuse mass hysteria is using their definition of mass hysteria.
It's a mass delusion.
Yeah, it's like it's this epidemic. What's the difference between pandemic and epidemic? One's the one that I mean. I don't know which one it is, but it's an epidemic of misusing the term mass hysteria.
I don't know, but this is the Tanganyika. Oh, I didn't see the word anymore, and I lost it. Tanganyika laughter epidemic is what they call that. But yeah, basically the idea is it has no plausible organic basis. Symptoms are transient and benign. Generally speaking, these are the things.
Right.
And the presence of extraordinary anxiety is a common thing.
Yeah.
But and sort of symptoms that are spread via sight, sound, or oral communication. And largely it affects young people largely it affects women, according to Wikipedia. I didn't look deep into this part.
Yeah.
Basically, there's mass anxiety hysteria and mass voter hysteria, whatever. But this is the interesting part right here. So a guy from 1980 to 1990, he compiled people's symptoms, the commonality of people's symptoms of mass hysteria for those 10 years in mass hysteria outbreaks. And a couple of these are, let's see, well, 67% of people during their mass hysteria had a headache.
Okay.
So, if your head's hurting, like maybe you're mass hysterical.
Right. Next time you take that ibuprofen, just consider that your symptoms may be like psychosomatic. Gotcha.
Yeah. And never, don't contact a doctor if your head hurts
never.
For a few days. 10% is a lot of people vomited.
Wow. They probably, so like a sickness, like a physical like virus or something was probably that's probably what they thought was going on.
Oh yeah.
Because they're having like illness symptoms.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a sort of like, because the thing with that is like if it's vomiting, that kind of happens all the time, right? People vomit and people see each other vomit. Oh, and then they vomit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That one might be bullshit.
Yeah, that's just That one, it'd be like you vomit and then another person vomited. Like, of course that happened. I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, vomiting is gross.
I wonder if that's like a design thing. Like if you see someone throwing up, then it's like, oh well, maybe they had something that I also ate, and it's good for me to throw it up too. Like in case it is like some kind of reaction to food or poison. Or
that might be it. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah,
I think
that's so
because
weird.
A lot of these things have like evolutionary reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that stuff, and like to end my whole thing, I'm going to talk about the criticisms of the idea of mass hysteria.
Right.
Are basically that you can just like fail to detect the actual organic cause.
Yeah.
And then attribute it to mass hysteria.
Right.
And you're either failing because you fail or because literally couldn't detect it at that time.
Science hasn't gone far enough. Or you're incompetent.
Yeah. So it like the whole of mass hysteria at all is kind of in question.
Right.
But it's like, why did those first girls laugh?
So it could be like, oh, aliens were sending down this like laugh rays, and they were these little nanobots were going in their bodies and setting off their nervous system to laugh, and they kept spreading around, and then just we scientifically couldn't detect those things yet. So
yeah, I think most things can be explained by alien nanobots.
Yeah,
come on.
Let's be honest. That's pretty much how society is run. But that's another tangent for another time.
Yeah, but that is my my weird.
That's a good one. That is really weird. And I'm thinking, it had to be like the perfect storm for a people going through so much culturally and emotionally as individuals. Like it had to really disturb them. And it is odd that the kids, because like a lot of times kids, you don't really understand what's going on with politics and society and stuff. And like for them to have been affected, maybe it was just like the stress of uncertainty, like feeling like something was going on, but they didn't quite understand it or understand the significance of it.
Yeah, exactly. And even if they did, like they would probably have trouble expressing it exactly.
Yeah, they're helpless to do anything and articulate it, so they just laugh or cry. I also wonder, like, I've walked past a classroom before and the kids in there were laughing. It's so odd that like that one girl picked up on it, and somehow if she on some level of her consciousness knew it was a different sort of laughter, to just walk by and hear it and go to her own classroom and start it there.
Yeah.
Like that's what freaks me out. Like I can understand if you're in a room with someone and you all like one person starts laughing and the other people start laughing and it like that becomes a thing. And then like maybe it's like you created those pathways, and so like a person laughing is like a trigger for you and you're more sensitive to laughing as a response. Like somehow your brain is conditioned that way.
Yeah, that's a part of it, right?
But just to hear a person laugh and know that it's a different sort of laugh,
yeah,
that freaks me out.
Yeah, because it's not like those villagers never laughed in
Right,
the past
yeah.
weeks or whatever. So it's like, why this laugh? Yeah, I don't know.
Ugh. And then you can't, like, even if you know that's a psychological symptom, you can't stop it. I mean,
oh yeah,
even once it's like a diagnosed as like, oh, that's just mass hysteria. It's your brain telling you one thing and nervous system freaking out. You're like, well, I can't tell my brain that's wrong. It's just gonna keep doing this for a while, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's really wild.
In the 90s, when it has occurred since, you might not have this information, and I wonder if anybody does, but it'd be interesting to know if it's like if the same people that laughed when they were kids are laughing now, or if it's stayed kids the whole time, or if they're like descendants of those people that were maybe predisposed genetically to that, or like if there's a certain personality type that's more susceptible to it. Like it's really interesting to like really analyze the people that are affected by it. Like I like the study of the symptoms that guy did.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting like to like look at the in-depth people.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really I think it's sort of maintained like on the younger end,
right?
But yeah, other than that, I don't know what personality, what gene you have to have.
Yeah. Freaky deaky, my friend. All right, for my topic.
Yes.
The place, Dresden, Germany. The date, February 8th, 1887. Mr. and Mrs. Tanzler welcomed their little baby boy into the world and named him Carl. All right. Carl Tanzler.
Not all right. Don't name him Carl.
Already have problems with this. It's a presuppositional problem with these people. Yeah, no, Carl Tanzler seemed normal enough at the time. But seeing as how he made it onto this show, it's probable that something changed along the way. He would later be known by an alias, Count Karl von Cosel. We'll get to that. Because when Carl was 12 years old, he had a vision of a long-dead relative. And in this vision, his relative showed him the face of his true love. Yeah.
Nice of him.
Yeah, it was pretty like, it's like, hey, this is who you're gonna love one day. You're 12 years old, you don't know what love is, but here's a vision of it. So that, made an impression on him, as it would anyone, I'm sure. He grew up during while the storm of the First World War was brewing. So things were tense culturally. He's in Germany, obviously, going to be affected.
Pretty big part.
Throughout his travels, he ended up in Australia for a little bit, and that's right before Hell on Earth broke out. And while he was there, he penned an autobiographical account, which seems a little far-fetched, but it was confirmed. So it was a guy named... Well, I'll go ahead and read like this little excerpt of what he penned, just so you can get an idea of his brain and how it works.
Sure.
Many years ago, Karl von Cosel, that's also just what he calls himself, don't worry about it, traveled from India to Australia with the intention of proceeding to the South Seas Islands. He paused in Australia to collect equipment and suitable boats and to become acquainted with prevailing weather and sea conditions. However, he became interested in engineering and electrical work there, bought property, boats, an organ, an island in the Pacific, just casually bought a boat, bought an organ, an island. Also,
Drop a couple
honestly,
doubloons, get myself an island.
in all of that, the organ stands out as weird to me. Like, he bought property, an island, and boats, and then an organ. Like, I don't know. We'll come back to the organ.
Note it. Yeah, it seems like,
remind me of the
I
organ. Anyways, so continuing on, an island in the Pacific, so that he was still in Australia at the end of 10 years. He had just begun to build a trans-ocean flyer when the war broke out, and the British military authorities placed him in a concentration camp for quote-unquote safekeeping, along with many officers from India and China who were prisoners of war. Later, he was removed to Trial Bay, to a castle-like prison on the cliffs, and there he would work in this narrative, and when this narrative was accomplished. At the end of the war, no prisoner was permitted to return to his former residence, but all were shipped to the prisoners' exchange in Holland, where Karl von Cosel, once again, something he's calling himself, was released. He set out
this is still him writing
This is him writing this, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought that ended.
No, this is still him. He's writing all this and calling himself Karl von Cosel.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, we'll get into why in a little bit too, but he was released, so he released to set out to find his mother, from whom he had not heard since the beginning of the war. Finding her safe, he remained with her for 3 years, witnessing the chaos that followed in the wake of the war. Finally, she suggested that her son return to his sister in the United States. That's the end of that. So it's weird, like, he's like traveling and he's in Australia and he's got a bunch of money and buying all this stuff, and like, it seems fictional, but we at least know that he was truly in an internment camp or a concentration camp, because there's a guy named Nyantiloka Mahathira.
I think you're thinking of Ricky Martin.
Yeah,
he's living La Vida Loca.
True. And that guy, the name that I'm not gonna butcher twice, was actually his real name. Was Anton. Oh, here we go. It's Anton Walter Flores Gut. He was the first. He was German. He was the first modern Westerner to become a fully ordained Buddhist monk, and so Nyanatiloka Mahathira was his Buddhist name that he adopted.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I just think that because it sounds like Mothra.
But... yeah. I think that's he was the inspiration. Like, he's got did some writing on the side. Actually, the Karl Tanzler did write something, or wrote like his own like story. It's called like Adventure or something. And when I was looking for it, all I could find was like this comic book series by the same name. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he didn't write that, but that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But so yeah, lots of amazing accomplishment, success. Who knows how much was true or not? But Mahathira did mention that he tried to escape the imprisonment with a Count Karl von Cosel.
Yeah, probably the same one.
So it's probably the same one. It's probably the same one. He was not a count. Yeah. But Tanzler never forgot his dream or the vision that he had, and he held on to it very dearly, waiting for fate to unite these predestined lovers. But the heart is fickle. In 1920, at the age of 33, he married Doris Schaefer, who was not the vision of beauty he had seen. But, guy's got to do what a guy's got to do, I guess. Yeah. Maybe he was lonely.
You're a vision.
Right. He's like, you're something. I'm using my vision to see you, so it's close enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Had kids. Some of them died because medicine sucks. It's the 1900s.
Yeah.
6 years later, he immigrated to the United States to join his sister in Zephyr Hills, Florida. He was taken on as a radiology technician in the U.S. Marine Hospital. And this is where he began using his alias of Count von Cosel. So in his immigration papers and application, he forged this name.
So he's writing all of this way later in his life about his experiences from before he was writing that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So but I think he did start calling himself like Count von Cosel in the like concentration camp and on his travels. And then continued to do so. So the reason he referred to himself as a count, because in his dream, the relative that visited him was a countess. Her name was Countess Anna Constantia von Cosel. like long ancestry there, but it's like such a significant thing to him that he adopted that the Count title. I'm calling them dreams. Tanzler claimed that they were visions. Maybe they were just like fantasies. I don't know.
Hey, I'm 0.0001% related to
Right.
I don't know, Charlemagne.
Right,
so
right.
I'm gonna say I'm Charlemagne Broomy.
Like everybody's like, what's the Genghis Khan percentage? Because
Yeah, everybody ever
everybody's
is
related
to him.
And then everybody's 7 degrees away from
horrible rapist.
Yeah,
who raped everyone.
Yeah, and the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon and all that stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
let's not equivocate Kevin Bacon and Genghis Khan.
He is not.
I don't know. That's my line in the sand.
He has not raped anybody that I am aware of, or that nobody's come forward. I think Kevin Bacon's
pillaged some towns, sure,
but not to the extent that.
No.
Actually, I heard about somebody the other day that was like, it's like 3 degrees. Is 3 degrees of somebody. They're in more things with people than Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is.
Well, yeah, I imagine. I don't know, Anthony Anderson. I don't know if you know who that is.
Nope.
Exactly, but he's in everything.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, well, maybe him. But anyways, Tanzler, pretty obsessed with these visions, their fantasies, their whatever, and that unfolded a bizarre series of events. April 22nd, 1930. He's 3 years into his work at the hospital. He's 43 years old, right? He meets a patient, 21-year-old Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. Elena was born in 1909, so she's 21. Tanzler's 43, and Tanzler recognizes her because she is the face that he had seen all those years ago in his vision.
I'm calling bullshit on him. There's no fucking way that A, that happened, but B, I know it was a vision and it was important to him. You don't remember those kind of minute details.
Yeah, like I forget dreams. You forget your dreams degrade so quickly throughout the day. Like faces also. Like, isn't it scientifically impossible to dream about a face that you've never seen? So even if there's somebody in your dream, it's somebody that you may have seen, like in a crowd or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so, that's something that is said.
That's, I mean, who knows?
True,
but
I don't know.
I don't know if your brain can conjure things like that because it can't conjure words. Like you can't read in your dreams. Words are just gibberish.
Yeah.
But it's Anyways, but to him, he was like, "This is it. This is it." Now, all reports do indicate that she was indeed beautiful. She was a local beauty. But to Tanzler, she was his destiny, the other half of his soul. Elena did not get the memo because she was already married. I mean, so was Tanzler.
Well, she made a whoopsie, I feel.
Right. But you can't keep fate apart, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So she'd been married for 4 years by the time they met. And this is a technicality. They're both technically married. Tanzler left his wife to move to the Florida Keys to work at this hospital. And he's there for like a decade. And Elena's husband left her for 4 years, had already left her right after she had a miscarriage. So they're both like legally married, but neither one of them is like actively involved in a relationship. Also, the reason that she visited the hospital is because she's dying. So not a great way to start a relationship.
Not a great moment.
Yeah.
By the way, I heard all that, I understood all of it, but also simultaneously it was hard for me because since you said the Florida Keys, I've had Kokomo stuck in my head.
Can we like, what are the royalty? Can we play a little bit of that in here? How much before
Probably
we're
not.
sued?
From the Florida Keys.
If we get sued by something like that, then like that would put us on the map. Like an article about us would be written. Surely.
Yeah, that's if we
all press is good
participated in
press,
the suit.
right?
We would just get shut down basically if we didn't. I don't have money for a lawsuit.
We'd
Are you
get
crazy?
paid to go away, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I'll dig up some dirt on Brian Wilson.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, there's plenty of dirt. I mean,
new dirt because obviously all the dirt's already dirty.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta sweep up that dirt.
Yep.
So Elena had tuberculosis, pretty much a death sentence at the time. and most of her family actually had it and died from it. But Tanzler was determined. This was his true love. So he faked his being a doctor. He faked the credentials. He also, like, over the course of his life, claimed to have, like, 9 university degrees and was, like, a sailor and a pilot and all this stuff, which is BS. He was able to convince the family that he was a doctor. He was not able to convince the disease that he was a doctor. And so she died. But
wait, before we move on, was he like posing as a doctor, like she was staying at the hospital for end of life care or whatever?
Oh, no. She came for he's a technician, radiology technician. Got her checked out or whatever. And then I'm not saying it's the hospital's fault. Somehow, in posing as a doctor, so she went home, right? And he, like, took medicine to her. I don't know where he got it from or how he got it. And, like, with his own, like, what he thought was best, tried, like, various treatments. He, like, took x-ray equipment and stuff to her house and hospital technology. I don't, like, gross theft. I don't know how he got away with that.
He's a count. Let him have it.
And maybe he was just, like, really sneaky. And so he was, like, taking all this stuff to her house, giving her this, like, very individualized care, and simultaneously bringing her, like, jewelry and clothes and perfumes and stuff, and telling her that she was his true love and all this stuff like that. There's no evidence that she reciprocated these feelings at all. But if you're getting, like, that level of care from a doctor, you're desperate. Like, your family's already dying from it, and you have one doctor.
That's some great bedside manner.
That committed to you. Yeah, like, it's creepy, but, I mean, like, she was probably like, I'll just go along with it and see what happens. But, like I said, she died in 1931, 1 year into the weird sugar doctor relationship they had going on.
Sugar doctor.
Yeah, so their love story was cut short. But 7 years later, Elena's sister Florinda had learned that Tanzler was spotted buying women's jewelry and perfume and clothes around town. And so she's like, oh, that's great. He's seeing somebody. He's back on the market. He got kind of hung up on my sister there for a little bit, which was weird. But, you know, it's good that he's out doing stuff, you know. And then she heard a little bit more gossip. Some more rumors started spreading. Like, you know, small town gossip. Like, Brad and Megan broke up, and Carly didn't make the cheerleading team, and that doctor that treated your sister has been seen dancing in the window with a life-size doll. Just, you know, stuff like that, you know, that you hear all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that the last one gave her a little pause. She decided to pay a visit to his house, where she discovered an effigy of her sister, life-size doll, right? She contacted the authorities because that's creepy as heck. The authorities discovered that it was actually her corpse, not an effigy.
You see, this is where the count loses me.
This is you were on board up till now.
This is the moment.
The lies and fraud.
I loved the guy up until now. Thought he was great.
Look, I mean, he was a dedicated fake doctor. Like, what's not? Yeah. He tried so hard. That's admirable.
I mean, he worked for years at a fake college to get his fake doctorate.
Exactly.
So,
do you know how much hard work that takes to lie? So, just to fill in the last 7 years between, like, her dying and them finding him with her corpse. Tuberculosis, universally fatal, and he when she died, he had been presenting her with gifts and all this stuff, right? Spoiling her like every dying girl wants. He then insisted on paying for her funeral and burial. So he paid for this very expensive, lavish mausoleum for her burial, and he had a key to it. He was heartbroken and alone, robbed of his chance to be with the one he loved. Is poor guy, you know. More unfortunate for Elena that his obsession with her did not go to the grave with her. But he did literally go to her grave. And
just visit, to put some flowers on.
That would be a normal thing to do. He played songs for her and sang her sang her Spanish love songs. And
like that image by itself, though, like by like a gravestone with a guitar or whatever, singing a song to the one you love who's dead. That might, what, it's weird, but it's nice.
It's nice. You'd see that like in a Hallmark movie or something. Like, it's also weird the relationship they had. Like, I understand if a doctor treats somebody, like maybe somebody is terminally ill and you treat them for months or years and you get to know them, you attend their funeral. That's a nice thing to do. He only knew her for a year and the relationship didn't seem to be mutual. But he, what you don't know about when he was attending her tomb is when he played love songs, supposedly, according to him, her spirit would join him while he sang to her. And,
that's neat.
And they'd sit and talk, have some chats about the weather. And also she would beg him to take her body. So he did that because that's what she wanted.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you know about bodies when they die, but they have a tendency to fall apart. At least I was going to say at least in my experience, but that makes it sound like I have experience with dead bodies, which I do not. But just like in general public knowledge that I'm exposed to, I'm fine. It's fine. I passed background checks. It's okay. So
I think I will call someone.
But he had all that fake medical expertise. So he knew how to fix the problem of decay. Some very high technology stuff here. He used wire and coat hangers to hold her bones together, and then shoved glass eyeballs into her eye sockets so that he could look into them. And then as her flesh decomposed, he would just use silk cloths soaked in wax, and he used plaster of Paris, that is at least a legitimate thing that morticians do. Use like plaster to make a facade of damaged tissue and stuff for the corpse to be presentable at like a wake. Yeah. And he like stuffed her body with rags in order to maintain its girlish figure and all that.
So much work.
So much work. I mean, like, I'm sure like they didn't have Tinder at the time, but surely there's a way he could have met someone else. Like, but this was the one. Yeah. He did have a wife too. He could have gone back to her, but whatever. He wanted to do things the hard way.
I mean, this is better.
Yeah.
Of course, but yeah.
He also did all of this, and he converted an old airplane into this laboratory. So really setting the bar high for like mad scientist aesthetic. It was a plane converted into a lab.
And that's where he did all of this. Work on her body.
Yeah. Also, this is where he made a wig out of her own hair. It seems normal, except he had the hair like as soon as she died because her mom gave it to him. I don't know why she did that. Maybe she was.
Well, I'm imagining he asked.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, I'm guessing he asked.
He's the kind of guy that would do that.
Oh yeah, he's pretty forward. I mean, he's taking liberties. So, but like, maybe she just felt like she owed him for all the care, individualized care or something. But so he made a wig, preserved the body, used like perfumes and stuff. And now once the corpse is finished being preserved, like once everything is done and she's held together with her wires and stuff, there's only one logical place to store her, and that was his bed. So that he slept with her every night for 7 years until her sister found him.
7 years?
7 years he slept with this corpse.
Wait. Before, let's stop here for a moment.
Yeah.
Before the getting to America and being a radiologist, other than, going on, spending sprees or whatever, there was no indicators of extremely strange behavior, other than, the vision or whatever.
Nope. Yeah. No, he was a pretty normal guy. This could be, and he continued to, work and while he's just going home every night to this corpse. Still maintaining a life. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to ask.
All right. Yeah. So there are reports. Now, this is speculative. There was nothing reported at the time in the papers, but people, research has come out since then, because this was the 1940s. 1940 was when it was discovered. There are reports that he had inserted a tube into her so that he could perform acts of necrophilia with her. Yeah. So we'll leave that there. That's weird. A tube, like something, some orifice for him,
like to protect himself from dead body.
I don't think
diseases?
he cared about that. I think it was just probably rough. Yeah, it probably was not a good sensation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about his taste.
I mean,
for some reason.
I like how you're like, his standard would probably be at sex, right? He would probably have a little bit more like hygiene. I don't think he cared. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt there. But yeah, he went to trial because he was caught, and he confessed, but the case was dropped because the statute of limitations had expired. And then he just went back to work as a fake doctor, and nobody said anything. He got away with it. I mean, I'm sure like he was probably a pariah. But the jury was actually pretty sympathetic because, like, as disgusting as this was, like, they felt bad for him. Like, he presented himself as like, he was so heartbroken he could not stand to be away from her, and this is what he did to preserve his love.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I don't know. That would never happen.
I mean,
these days, ever.
Yeah, ever.
That's insane. That's a sort of like, it's kind of like, I think it's just like, well, some of us have read Victorian books, so this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
In the future, Tim Burton will be a thing, so it's okay.
Johnny Depp would play this guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's I kind of wonder though, like if just like because as a society, like, I mean, tuberculosis was like ravaging this town, right? Everybody was dying. Her whole family like ended up dying. So maybe like everybody that was on the jury and like in the town had been exposed to so much death and loss, and they were all like, I can relate to losing something that I love and wishing that I could preserve it. I mean, maybe it was almost like sympathy. I don't know. Maybe he was just very charismatic. I mean, he did talk his way into a fake doctorship.
Sure.
Doctorate?
Yeah.
Doctor, what do you call an MD? Like, what's the doctor thing?
I think it's medical doctorate.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, medical doctorate then. I don't have one, obviously. But in like a more twisted escalation of this, instead of her remains being confiscated and then like buried again, they were put on display at a local funeral home.
Ah, that's sweet.
Because
wait, no, it isn't.
Because like she
what?
was so preserved, like they took her down. They like put her like, we gotta look at all this. I don't know. And
oh my god!
Finally,
his work was so good. You can't just bury something.
Right.
Yes, you can.
Right. I mean, everybody was like, so she was like, it's so sad. Like she was like further defiled and desecrated, but. Yeah, I mean, I guess like such a freakish thing. Like there's a Ripley's Believe It or Not like life-size depiction of like him caring for her corpse and stuff. It's real weird. And she was eventually taken down and laid to rest back in the Key West cemetery in an unmarked grave so that no one could further desecrate or pervert her remains.
Yeah.
And I'm still hung up on the fact that he just like went back to work like nothing happened. Like, how can you move on with your life after being exposed to something like that? But whatever. Then in 40
also that they kept him on.
Yeah, there's like, I mean,
the job kept him.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's grounds for firing. Gonna be honest.
Be like, I mean,
they're not mentally sound enough to work here.
He was. Yeah, I mean, he was. He went to they tried to like test him psychologically before trial, thinking that maybe he was like crazy, and they're like, no, he's completely competent. He just really loved this girl, very obsessed. So he was competent to stand trial and everything. But
if you really love someone a lot, that's what happens. So,
right. I mean, logically, if you don't dig up and like taxidermy your loved ones, then I'd really wonder if you love them in the first place, you know?
Yeah, it's not true love
Right.
if you don't desecrate their corpse.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. 4 years later, 1944, he moved to Pasco County, Florida, where good old Doris, you know, his wife that he left with to sleep with his corpse for 10 years, she took care of him as he aged, and death and the law could not stand between him and his love. And while he didn't have her body, he had a death mask made, which is like a plaster mask of the face that they make so that you can recreate the image. And he used that to create a life-size effigy of her. He lived with that until he died in 1975. He lived with this life-size effigy, like wax figure of her.
And his wife was caring for him?
They didn't live together, but she just kind of like looked after him and like checked in on him, made sure he had enough to eat and all that stuff. Like took care of him in his failing health. They didn't live together. Yeah, no. He just lived with this wax figure. There is speculation that somehow he was able to switch out the effigy with her body, or that someone, because like I said, everybody's pretty sympathetic to him, that someone eventually returned the remains to him and that he lived with a corpse for the rest of his life.
There are rumors.
There are rumors of that. Yeah. Because there is documentation that they found like some kind of like waxy figure, and people presume that he just made an effigy, but who knows? And the whole organ thing. So it's not true, but there's rumors that he died in the arms of this effigy. That's not how it happened. He died. His body was found 3 weeks after he died, and he was like behind one of his organs. So I don't know if it was the same organ that he bought with the plane and the boat and the island and everything.
So
but
wait.
The story came full circle. Is my point.
That's the full circle moment.
That's the circle of life right there, from organ to organ.
That's why I mentioned it.
So yeah, people in that town lived next door to this guy for 7 years, and he was just like, "Hey, John, how you doing? Getting the paper? Yeah." And then go inside to his corpse. Like, what?
Yeah, that's insane. That's always, I mean, that's the sort of thing people say all the time. With,
right.
Sociopaths or whatever, that, like, they're all around you. All you gotta do is, or not all you gotta do, you could look in their eyes and they'll be happy and friendly.
Yeah.
But on the inside, they're corpse touching.
Yeah. No, I mean, at least he didn't like kill her. Like he tried to keep her alive. He was.
Oh yeah, what a good guy.
He was a good guy.
He was a great guy, dude.
He just didn't let it go. Like he didn't hurt anybody except maybe the family when they found out. But I mean, no. Once you die, I mean, if you're an organ donor or just. I mean, whatever.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Okay, so
I don't know.
Some differences of opinion.
I'm saying let's not.
Yeah,
friends.
No, it's just
sorry.
Bury him. Let it go. It's over. Like that's hygiene. The smell. It's not worth it. Like also, if somebody found out
about caring for the necrophiliacs,
yeah,
I'm like, hey, it's smelly.
It's
we don't have the technology to cure the smell, so let's just.
He just used a bunch of perfume, but it didn't work that well. He's smelling it. I don't know. Yeah, don't do that. When somebody dies, let him go. Let him be at peace, or you leave him alone.
Did people like know him as the Count? By the way.
Yeah. That's what on all his like applications and job stuff.
Wow.
He was Count von Cosel. Yeah.
It was so easy to just bullshit.
I know, right? You can't even, I don't even know. Like, you could just say you're somebody, go to a new town, and start working under a different name, and, like, that's your identity, and now you've got that to fall back on.
Yeah.
I mean, then the past comes back to haunt you.
Oh, sure.
But, yeah, you just get away with lots of stuff.
Just sing your past Spanish song.
Yeah.
And it'll all be all right.
Yeah. Let her spirit come talk to you at the grave.
So all right. So we got the Tanganyika laughter epidemic versus what's his name?
Karl Tanzler, or Count von Cosel.
I'll go Count von Cosel.
The Count. Yeah.
Is a better title.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have. Do you have the Twitter handle?
I have. The Twitter handle is at War of the Weirds, all one word, no underscores. War of the Weirds,
all one word. We got it, folks.
We'll put that poll up.
So follow us on there. We'll have these polls out with every episode, and we will see you on the next one.